It started like any other morning. Jessica Lane buttoned up her navy blue uniform, adjusted her small silver wings pin, and tucked a photo of her younger brother into the side pocket of her bag. The airport buzzed with families, business travelers, and the low hum of rolling suitcases. Flight 392 from Phoenix to Seattle was already boarding when she slipped through the gate, her routine like second nature after 4 years in the sky. She wasn't a pilot. She wasn't trained for emergencies beyond first aid and passenger safety drills. And yet, within 2 hours, she would have the fate of 184 lives resting entirely in her hands. The plane lifted off into clear blue skies. Jessica moved through the cabin easily, flashing warm smiles, helping passengers with carry-ons, handing out peanuts and ginger ale. She loved her job, even on the tiring days, especially because flying always reminded her of home. Her father had been a crop duster pilot before he passed, and the smell of jet fuel still stirred old memories. The flight was smooth, kids colored in books, grandparents dozed beneath fleece blankets. Somewhere around cruising altitude, Jessica leaned against the galley door for a breather, watching clouds drift by. It should have been just another ordinary flight. The first sign was subtle, a slight dip in altitude, so gentle that most passengers didn't notice, but Jessica did. She glanced down the aisle, eyes trained like a hawk. She knew this plane, knew its rhythms. This felt wrong. Seconds later, the captain's voice crackled through the intercom, but it was garbled, slurred, a stuttering sentence cut short mid-syllable. Jessica's blood ran cold. She rushed to the cockpit, pounded once on the door, then twice. No answer. Flight attendants are not allowed in without pilot authorization during flight, but protocol shattered the moment a second jolt hit. Stronger this time. Baggage bins rattled. Drinks spilled. A woman screamed from row 17. Jessica overrode the emergency access lock with a trembling hand. The door swung open, and the sight hit her like a slap. Both pilots slumped over. Captain Andrews collapsed sideways against the window, co-pilot Hernandez limp over the controls, alarms flashing around them. Panic ignited behind her, passengers stood, shouted, pushed against their belts. One man demanded answers. Another fumbled with his oxygen mask, though none had dropped. Jessica moved on instinct. Training snapped into place. But this wasn't about CPR or turbulence. This was bigger. She yanked the radio headset off the co-pilot's head and jammed it against her own ear. Flight 392, Mayday, Mayday, both pilots incapacitated. I repeat, both pilots are unconscious. There was static, then a calm voice. This is Seattle Center. Copy that, 392. Who is speaking? Jessica's voice shook, but she forced it steady. I'm cabin crew, Jessica Lane. I'm not a pilot. I need help. In the cabin, the passengers were a sea of wide eyes and gripping hands. People clutched strangers. A baby wailed somewhere mid-cabin. Jessica turned back toward the cockpit's blinking panel. She knew basics. Altimeter, heading, throttle, from her childhood rides with her dad. Nothing beyond that. Seattle Center's voice came steady. Jessica, you're doing great. Listen closely. We'll guide you step by step. Outside, the sky had turned. Thick clouds rolled in from the west, swallowing the sun. Wind buffeted the plane, tossing it like a toy. Jessica gripped the yoke. The plane's nose dipped sharply, alarms blared. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Level her out. Left aileron. Trim nose up slightly. Seattle's voice, patient, commanding. Jessica fought the plane, wrestled the controls. Small adjustments, small breaths. The aircraft responded, reluctantly, but it responded. Below them, somewhere buried beneath storm clouds, Seattle's runways waited like narrow lifelines. Jessica repeated procedures out loud. Throttle steady, flaps down at 20, nose trim neutral. Passengers held their breath as she spoke. She couldn't see their faces anymore, but she felt them. 184 souls banking their hope on her trembling hands. Her father's words echoed back from long ago. Don't ever freeze up. Trust what you know. Seattle Center guided her down. Flight 392, you're clear for emergency approach. You're doing great. You're not alone. Jessica felt the plane strain against buffeting winds. Rain battered the windows like marbles shot from a gun. She aligned the nose, lowered flaps again. The runway broke through the clouds, glowing like a ribbon of salvation. Almost there, almost safe. The touchdown was rough. The plane bounced once. Hard. Gasps filled the cabin. Jessica fought the yoke with both hands. Heels braced against the floor. Rubber shrieked against asphalt. Brakes engaged. Speed dropped. The plane shuddered, then slowed, then finally rolled to a blessed, shivering halt. For one long moment, silence. Then the cabin erupted. Cheers, applause, crying, laughter. A toddler clapped wildly, unaware why, just knowing joy when he saw it. Jessica sagged against the seat, chest heaving, hands still glued to the controls. She didn't remember exiting the plane. It was all a blur. Fire trucks, paramedics rushing the pilots out on stretchers, the terminal crowd surging to the windows. All she knew was that somehow, impossibly, they were safe. The next morning, Jessica Lane's name was everywhere. News anchors called her a hero flight attendant. Passengers posted shaky cell phone videos of her calm voice echoing over the intercom. But the real shock came 24 hours later. An invitation, hand-delivered to her apartment by two men in dark suits. A formal request from the President of the United States. In a glittering ceremony weeks later, Jessica stood in a borrowed Navy dress, shaking hands with leaders she'd only seen on TV. The President leaned in, whispering so only she could hear, "Real heroes don't need wings on their chest. They carry them in their heart."